Hello everyone, tonight I've called for a meeting of the Cabal and Doom, get your actual costume on! It's the 2010s, not 1984! See? Now that's much better.
Hello everyone and welcome back to another average review. This time we have something I'm very excited for. The Marvel Legends 85 Years Cabal 3-pack. Let's start with the packaging. We have the very nice new 85-year branding. Marvel Legends packaging looks very nice, very premium. We've got the 3 figures in this 3-pack. Taskmaster, Norman Osborn Iron Patriot, and Dr. Doom. Let's take a look at the back of the box now. On the back, we have some awesome comic art of Dr. Doom and Iron Patriot fighting, along with Taskmaster and Dr. Doom in the back, along with some very nice art of the 3 characters in this 3-pack. On the top, we got Dr. Doom, middle Norman Osborn, bottom Taskmaster. This is an oddly human-looking Taskmaster as opposed to the more skeletal versions that we see in this 3-pack and in most Marvel stories. We also see a description of the Cabal. Iron Patriot calls together some of the most dangerous beings in the world to form the Cabal, a volatile alliance that wreaks havoc on the world. So, that sort of gives a bit of an explanation as to who the Cabal are. Essentially, they're an evil version of the Illuminati in Marvel, a team of some of the smartest heroes in the Marvel Universe. These are some of the greatest villains. Now, there's some other members of the Cabal. I believe there's Loki, Emma Frost, and also Namor, which I find really interesting since he was also on the Illuminati. But come on, look at these figures. We gotta get them out of the box immediately. Alright, all 3 are out of the package, and by God, they look fantastic. So, you know what? Let's start with Iron Patriot, the main guy of the set. Let's move these 2 out of the way, and let's take a look at this Iron Patriot. Now, this is Norman Osborn in a modified Iron Man suit. And so, they put him on basically the same body as the Extremis Iron Man, since that's what this armor was based on. But he's got some new parts, like this torso. It has a star that's sculpted on. And correct me if I'm wrong, but this seems like a different helmet, you know? It's got less of a thin jaw, a different sort of mouthpiece right there. And of course, a new color scheme based on, you know, the American flag, you know? Similar to Captain America. But this Norman Osborn obviously isn't anything like the heroic Tony Stark and Captain America. On his back, we can see a little less paint detail than on the front, but some very nice sculpting of all the lines and rivets in the mechanical armor. I also like that on a figure like this of a guy in a suit of armor, the joints look more natural since, well, it's a guy in a suit of armor. He's sort of got these toed feet on the armor, which I think is an interesting design choice. Once again, all very nicely sculpted. There's one thing to complain about. In the promo images, the whites were more silver. I prefer the white over the silver on the actual figure, but still, the fact that they were like that in the promo images, but not on the figure, that's a bit of a problem. Now let's move on to Dr. Doom, Marvel's, well, I think some would argue Marvel's greatest villain. Now, this is the most simple reuse in this set, you know? It's just very similar to their other Dr. Dooms. They released this in the Super Skrull wave and in the Retro line. But this one is more similar to the Super Skrull one due to its more dark and modern color scheme. We can see really nice lines and rivets on the armor, along with a lot of texturing on his tunic right here. Very nice looking belt. There's this D engraved on his little sidearm pouch right here. And I also like that the medieval gauntlets he has also look like gloves. He's got his armored legs down here too, similar to the arms. Very nice detailing. And a really cool Doctor Doom head sculpt. Now, one of the eyes is it looks a bit off, but he's always going to be pretty shadowed looking in a display since, you know, he's wearing that hood and the mask. But I think the coolest thing about this new Doctor Doom compared to all the others is that he's actually got a cloth cape. And that also lets us see the jet boosters on his back that Doctor Doom does have. So there's a lot of props to having a nice cloth cape. You know, you can sort of have it over his shoulder if he's, you know, got his arm down like this, you know. You could probably make it look better than just me trying to show it off in a hurry, but still, really cool Doctor Doom. Now here is a prime example of a villain that's both ridiculous and awesome. Taskmaster. Essentially, he's a villain of the Avengers that can copy any fighting style he sees. So, for example, he's got Hawkeye's bows back there. He's got a pouch for a gun so he can shoot like Black Widow. He's very similar in terms of costume to Captain America, and that's reflected in him having this shield. Now, there's other accessories, and we'll get to those later, but for now, let's take a look at the figure itself. That head sculpt is perfect for Taskmaster. The amazing skeletal face along with a bit of washing or maybe dry brushing to bring out the details, and those haunting white pupil eyes. Oh, it's fantastic. He's also got a cape. It's not wired, cloth like Doctor Doom's, but still looks really nice. We can see it's like two-tone, white on the outside, orange on the inside. Looking on the body, we see he's got the Vulcan body mold, which is one of my favorite Marvel Legends body molds in both articulation and presentation. And some really nice painted details, the white outline and the oranges, along with the really good-looking white gloves, trunks, and boots. We've got this strap right here. No real purpose for it other than to look cool, I guess. And this pouch to hold his gun, along with all the pouches for where he stores, I don't know, ammo and stuff. Really cool Taskmaster. Actually, him and Doctor Doom sort of have the similar like overall costumes if you look at them, but the difference is the way these costumes are presented. Doom is armored and, you know, a very simple color scheme, you know, silver and green with a bit of golden brown. Taskmaster, loony Silver Age color schemes. He's blue, white, and orange. It's very bright and will stand out, especially with that awesome skull face. But now let's get into articulation, and, you know, since we have him out here, let's start with Taskmaster. Now, this hood will limit how far he can look up. He can look up like so, though, and he can look down a little bit. It's very limited. He gets some alright side to side, and a little bit of wobbling around. He's got twist in the torso, little limited by his belt, and he's got an ab crunch that can move forward like so, and back like so, little limited by the cape, but not as much as I thought. He's got butterfly joints that can move back and forth, and shoulders that can raise about 90 degrees. They also spin around. He's got a bicep swivel that twists side to side, double jointed arms with a decent bend, especially considering that a thick glove. He's also got hands that, well, this one and the one next to it hinge up and down, but most of the other hands that he comes with instead move forward and back. These ones don't, but they all spin around. He can kick forward like so and split. He's got a thigh cut, double jointed knees, and a boot swivel on his big white boots. A little limited, but, you know, still very nice. He's got feet that can go backwards, forwards, and pivot side to side. Really nice articulation on this Taskmaster, mostly thanks to the Vulcan body. Now we've got Norman Osborn, the Iron Patriot. So, he can look up further than Taskmaster. Same for, fairly equal looking down. And his head spins all the way around. Now, instead of an ab crunch and a torso swivel, he just has a diaphragm joint. So he can bend forward a little. He gets a better bend back. it can spin around and also tilt side to side. Now, his arm articulation is limited by his shoulder pads, so he can kind of just lift up that far, but they also spin around, the shoulder pad moves with it. Bicep swivel, double jointed elbows with a pretty good bend, and wrists that can swivel up, down, and spin around. Now, his legs can kick forward a good amount. They also split. They're a little limited by these two pieces right here, but, you know, those are part of the design, so they kind of got to be included. He's got a thigh swivel right here, double jointed knees, and he's got feet that can go forward, backwards, and pivot side to side. I'd say it's a little more limited than Taskmaster, but still really good for this cool-looking suit of armor right here. Now let's see what Dr. Doom can do. Similar to Taskmaster, he can move up and down, but it's limited by his hood. He's actually got some movement around in the neck, so he can sort of wobble around, and that assists his head articulation a bit. It, of course, spins around. Now, instead of a diaphragm joint at the upper torso, instead, he's got in the lower torso. Not much range forward or back, but it can spin around and doesn't get much tilt. Now, one part that's improved from other Doctor Dooms, since he's got a cloth cape, his arms can raise higher than they could with a plastic cape since it would get in the way. So here's his arm raising. They also spin around. And he's got bicep swivel, which lets that spin around. Now, once again, double jointed arm, fairly decent bend, hands that can hinge and spin. Now, his kick forward, a little limited by his tunic skirt thing right there, but he gets a better split thanks to these cuts in the side. Unfortunately, still a bit limited by his sidearm right here. But it's still got thigh cut and double jointed knees. And not only can his feet hinge back, forth, and pivot side to side, but the ankle actually spins around in substitution of a boot cut. So on all these figures, there's a bit of limitations, but still really great articulation all around. Now, let's look at some accessories, since this set has some fun ones. Now, for Dr. Doom, we have some pretty basic accessories. He comes with this nice Luger, that would fit in his sidearm after you unpocket it. And he also comes with a pair of fists to replace his trigger finger and open hand. But there's one more that's very exciting. So first, you're going to want to pop the head off, and then take the pieces of the cape out. You don't have to do this next part, but I think it adds to the effect. And then you pop the extra head on. Then you take the cape off of these button pieces right here, put them back on the figure, and you have this alternate Doombot. So in a way, it's two characters in one. We have this awesome skeleton Terminator-like Doombot, where, he doesn't have the hood, and instead it's, a robot instead of the real Doom. And also, Dr. Doom I've been showing you. Also, yeah, this Doom's cape is removable, not only from the figure, but also the two buttons we got right here. I'm probably gonna just display it, with the regular Doom head, but I thought of a very interesting body to put this head on, but we're gonna wait till later to show that. Now, let's move on to Iron Patriot. His selection is similar to Doom, he's got two open Iron Man repulsor blast hands. You could plug some effects in here. In fact, speaking of those effects, we have these orange repulsor blast effects. So I'd actually consider this an accessory for both Iron Patriot and Dr. Doom, since it does show that on the box and some of the promo pics. You can plug these into the Iron Patriot repulsor blast hands, but also into the peg holes in the feet of the bottom of both of these figures, and into the holes in the jetpack on Doctor Doom, so that he can make an escape with his jetpack. That's an awesome detail, adding the little holes in the jetpack. Love that. But similar to Doom, Norman came with an alternate head. And this was the one you saw in the box. It's the Norman Osborn head. So, obviously, it's based on Norman Osborn from the comics, not the Willem Dafoe version, and it's really nice. You can see that distinct Norman Osborn haircut that him and his son Harry have, but this Norman Osborn is different from, the usual portrayal of Norman as either just being super stern or, smiling like a maniac. This one looks almost sad. Maybe it's the bags under his eyes, but I feel like this Norman has been defeated by Spider-Man one too many times, and he's getting tired of it. Now let's move on to Taskmaster, and he got some real attention with his accessories. So, obviously, alternate hands. He comes with a pair of fists, and then one, open sort of, I guess, like, gesturing sort of hand? Or like a hand for him, like, to hold the cosmic cube or something, But for his holster, he's got this little gun. Now, don't be mistaken, this is not the same as Dr. Doom's Luger. We can see Doom's Luger here, and then Taskmaster's gun here. Taskmaster's gun is more thin, and I think it's a bit of a darker paint. You can also see some differences in the little details, like there's a bit more going on with Taskmaster's gun. Of course, I showed Taskmaster's shield earlier, It's similar to the Captain America shields. It's got this peg hole and then the clamp for the wrists. Unfortunately, mine isn't in the best condition, the clamp, which is unfortunate. But, on this hand, you can just have him holding the shield with the peg hole. So, hey, at least it'll still work. But that's not even it. He also came with a bow and a really cool arrow, and in fact, unlike the Marvel Legends classic Hawkeye they recently released, this arrow actually fits into the quiver, which, I really wish they did that with the Legends Hawkeye. And he came with one more accessory, this awesome sword to copy the fighting style of the Black Knight. I'm a bit conflicted on which character in this pack has the best accessories. Taskmaster has the most, and the most weaponry, but Iron Patriot has the really nice uniform blast effects along with the awesome Norman Osborn head, and Doctor Doom has the playability of the Doombot head along with the removable cape. So I feel like these guys are actually all even in the accessory department. I'm going to start with the comparisons now and try to get it over with quick since this video is already long enough. Here's Doctor Doom with Reed Richards and Stu Storm, Mr. Fantastic and the Invisible Woman from the retro card Fantastic Four-Wave, except with a more Jack Kirby paint job. Here he is with the other half of the Fantastic Four. Johnny is from the Toy Biz Marvel Legends line as the Human Torch, and on the right, here's the Thing. Specifically the one from the retro card Fantastic Four-Wave. And now, here's Doctor Doom with Doctor Doom from the Avengers 60th Anniversary, specifically Doom's design from Secret Wars. Now, the reason I wanted to show this is, remember the Doombot head from earlier? Well, it's not a perfect color match, but I think this would be a really good start to a custom Doombot. It's more mechanical since it's on an Iron Man body, so I feel like it works if this was just one of Doctor Doom's, mechanical henchmen to impersonate him and, leave the Fantastic Four with nothing after their adventure's done with. Now, here's Iron Patriot with two versions of his archenemy, Spider-Man. Left, we have Renew Your Vows, and on the right, we have the No Way Home final swing suit. Both of these, in my opinion, are really great classic Spider-Men, and Norman Osborn as Iron Patriot is taller than both of them, which works since not only is he older than Peter, but also he's wearing an Iron Man suit. Although for the guy he stole the armor from, here's Iron Patriot with the neoclassic Iron Man on the left and the Avengers 60th Anniversary Mark I Iron Man on the right. These are more classic looks compared to this Iron Patriot's more modern extremist look, but if you want to know how these all look like together, here you go. And now, here's Norman Osborn with two other versions of himself as his more famous identity, the Green Goblin. The left one is from the Toy Biz Onslaught wave, and the right one is from the Hasbro Sandman wave. Now, the reason why I bring out this Sandman wave one in particular, other than it being more in scale and also being, well, the Green Goblin, is because he's compatible for a head swap with the Norman head. So, since they have matching ball pegs in the necks, we can see this Green Goblin with the Norman Osborn head. So that's pretty cool. But for the character he partially copied the identity from, here's Norman with two versions of Captain America. The left is from the Toy Biz Face Off series, still a classic, even though it's a bit short compared to modern figures. And on the right, we have the Hasbro Red Onslaught Wave Captain America. This one's sort of become my main Captain America recently, since it reminds me a lot of the Marvel vs. Capcom 2 version of Captain America. And I just think that's kind of awesome. It's just a really cool look for Cap, especially with the Marvel vs. Capcom art style. But since we're talking about Cap, we might as well show him with Taskmaster. Got my names mixed up for a second between skeleton-themed villains. These are the same Captain America figures, and I think this one scales better with Taskmaster. He may be a little shorter, but still, I think it looks really nice, these two together. Toy Biz still looks good, since Taskmaster is shorter than Iron Patriot. I think the height difference is a tiny bit less noticeable, but still fairly noticeable. For two other Avengers Taskmaster copied, here he is with the Target exclusive Deluxe Black Widow, except with an alternate head from a previous Black Widow, and the Marvel Legends Avengers 60th Anniversary Hawkeye that came with the Sky Cycle. In fact, a little something to note, this Hawkeye and Taskmaster have the same bow, except Taskmaster's is different, looking a bit more realistic, a wooden bow with a more standard string, as opposed to the golden one with the black straps on it. But still, these guys look really nice together, although Hawkeye might be a bit tall. Other than that, they're perfect together. Here he is with the comic Black Panther from the Black Panther 2 wave. These two are actually on the same body, so, they work really well together. And, this Black Panther, by the way, in my opinion, in terms of Black Panther figures, he cannot be topped unless, Mafex or Mezco makes one. If so, this is going to be the best affordable one. One Avenger Taskmaster can never copy is the pure strength and might of the Incredible Hulk. So here he is with two versions of one of the Avengers that he can never truly copy. On the left, we have the Toy Biz Hulk Classics War Hulk, and on the right, we have the Hasbro Marvel Legends 20th Anniversary Hulk. 20th Anniversary, I'd say, is more in scale, since he's more, massive, as the Hulk is. But I still have a soft spot for this Toy Biz Hulk. I've had him for a while, and even other than that, he just looks really cool. Here's the three figures from this 3-pack all together. Taskmaster is a bit shorter than both, but since these guys are in suits of armors, I think it works. Here's the two other members of the Cabal I have. The Namor is actually from the Black Panther movie, and this Loki right here is from the Retro Card wave. Unfortunately, I don't have Emma Frost, who is also part of the Cabal. But she's pretty cheap on Amazon, so who knows? Might pick her up. Finally, here's these 3 members of the Cabal with Hit Monkey and Goliath, as is tradition. Alright, the comparisons, overview of the figures and accessories are over. Now, it's time we rate each of these figures. I didn't have many expectations for Iron Patriot going into the set. I mean, of course, I really liked how the figure looked. In fact, liking all these figures is what made me want to get this box set. But really, Iron Patriot was more of just alright, I like how this looks, but I was mainly excited for, the Norman Osborn heads that I could put on, a Green Goblin figure or suited body. But Iron Patriot exceeded my expectations, despite the limited range in the torso and shoulders. He was still really fantastic in terms of his articulation. Overall, I'm going to give him an 8 out of 10. Not many accessories, but he gets the job done and does it really well. Taskmaster was probably the one I was most excited for, and boy, he did not disappoint. He had the most accessories out of this set and has a fantastic paint job on his face and the entire body. Unfortunately, he's not a 10 out of 10 for me because of the quality control issue on his shield. So, similar to Iron Patriot, he's getting a 9 out of 10. I didn't really have a true classic Doctor Doom before this. The closest thing I had was that Secret Wars figure. So, I was ecstatic to get this Doctor Doom too. And the cloth cape was an amazing bonus. But it's the extra details on this figure that really get me. The cape also being removable, the details on the sidearm and belt, and, of course, the Doombot head and the blast effects that you can actually plug into his jetpack. All of that makes this Doctor Doom a 10 out of 10 for me. Overall, this set is fantastic for people who want all 3 of these characters. I have to specify that part. For those who want all 3 of these characters, this set is expensive at $75. So, if you don't want these figures, then I would obviously not recommend buying this set. It's very pricey and, well, at a price this high, buying this set for just 1 or 2 figures isn't really worth it. But, if you're like me and want all 3 of these characters, and of course, you have the money to spend, then I'd absolutely recommend this set. It is fantastic. For those that are still here, if you like this video, well, since you watched all the way to this point, I'd recommend giving it a like and maybe even checking out some of my other videos. Other than that, though, have a great day.